Okay, today I'm going to do a short little lesson on interval notation. If you were in my Algebra 2 honors class, I talked about the fact that when we have inequalities, we have like closed circles, open circles. Closed circles are when it's equal to, open circles when it's not equal to. Less than, greater than is what I'm talking about. That then related to a graph with solid lines if it's a closed circle, a dashed line if it's an open circle. Well, now with interval notation, we're going to take the variable away and we're going to use brackets and parentheses. What you want to remember really is the bracket is the same thing as a closed circle. The dashed or open circle is the same thing as parentheses. Now, I have a little video. It might be silly, but I always do this video. So if I do it in class, I'm going to do it here, where hopefully you can, whoa, hear this. All right, so there's your little video. Um, the big idea really is uh, brackets are the same thing as with the equal sign, parentheses, no equal sign. Also, infinity and negative infinity, which really is all real numbers. What you want to think with that is you can never be equal to them. So they're always going to be parentheses. Now, if you remember in Algebra 2, it never had the equal sign when it went to infinity or negative infinity. So that's really why you're using those parentheses. Now, on the online book, which remember is on the playlist, and it's in your classroom as a resource. So on your classroom the classwork at the top, online resources, there is a PDF of the book. And I mean, we're going to be using the book a lot. It's just these first couple of days I have worksheets, but then it goes straight to the book. But if you want to read about it, it is pages 3 to 5 if you need to see it in the book. But really what we're saying is if you see with brackets A comma B, with inequalities, the smaller number is always to the left. So because you have brackets, that's saying A is less than or equal to X is less than or equal to B. I'm talking about a number between A and B, and it can equal A and B. On a graph, that would be A to B with solid dots. That would be the inequality for that. Now, these are bounded. Bounded means they don't go to infinity or negative infinity. So A to B with parentheses would be between A and B, not including them. So on a graph, that means I'd have open circles. If I have a bracket and then a parentheses, it's always less than. A is the smaller number. But if I have the bracket, it's got the equal sign. If I have the parenthesis, it doesn't have the equal sign. So this would be A to B, includes A, doesn't include B. This last one doesn't include A, but includes B. So A is open, B is closed. Those would be my inequalities. We use this because when we answer questions eventually, we're not going to be using this inequality stuff in the middle. We're going to be using interval notation all the time. So then unbounded, these are unbounded because now you have infinity. Well, if it's from negative infinity to B, that means the smallest is negative infinity. It doesn't include negative infinity because you can't equal to it, and it goes to B. Now on a graph, what would that be? Everything smaller than B. Negative infinity all the way to B, and it can include B. The next one has parentheses, so instead of having the equal sign, it has no equal sign. Instead of having a closed dot, it has an open dot. This one is saying A to infinity. Well, that means we're going to the right. A is the smallest number, and it's going to infinity. So it's getting bigger. I'm at A, it includes A, anything bigger than A. Last one here, parenthesis, so open circle. Still bigger than A, but doesn't include it. Last one that I don't really have on here that we do want to know is negative infinity to infinity. You know, what is negative infinity to infinity? That. What is it also? Double stemmed R, which is all real numbers. What does that mean on a number line? Everything. So you can't really, I mean, it's everything on the number line. There's no open circles or closed circles. If you're asked to write and graph an inequality, you know, what does negative 3 to 5 mean? That would mean negative 3 is my smallest. It doesn't include negative 3, and it goes to 5. What does that mean on a graph? Negative 3 to 5, everything between there. Last one here, -4 to infinity. Well, that means it's starting at -4. The nice thing about interval notation, you always know the first thing is the smallest thing. You always put less than or equal. It's all based on, is it a bracket? Is it a parenthesis? If it's going to infinity, I could just say that. X is bigger or equal to -4, but I could also say, hey, it's going to infinity. What does that mean on a graph? I start at -4. It's closed because of the equal sign. It's going to the right because it's going to infinity. So that is interval notation. If I gave you this, this would be graph it and write it in interval notation. Well, -3, 2. Open because no equal sign. Closed because the equal sign. X is between -3 and 2. Now that's like set notation. You don't have to write that, and even on the paper I gave you, it has that. You just write that and you're good. What is that in interval notation? -3, 2. Look at the sign. Doesn't have an equal sign. Parenthesis. Has an equal sign. Bracket. The smaller number is always first. So if you think of the last one here, disregard that. Don't worry about that. X is greater than 2. Well, what does X is greater than 2 mean? You're starting at 2. It doesn't include 2. Bigger than 2 would mean going to infinity. So now how do I write that in interval notation? What's the number to the left? 2. I put a parenthesis because it's open. Where's it going? Infinity. I put a parenthesis because I can never equal infinity. So hopefully that makes sense, but again, you can go back to page 3 to 5 in the book and look at some more examples. They might be these same examples, but if you need to see it, that is where you would see it. Alrighty, we'll see you later.